Hey, what's up guys? Signalwatives here, and before this video starts, I'd like to mention a couple things. For starters, Izuku Midoriya will look remarkably different. That, and once he gets his Mangekyo Sharingan, it will be eternal, because I don't want my boy Izuku going bleedy eye gang on everybody, alright? Now, there's also another thing I would like to mention. Thank you guys for 2K subscribers. I know I have not been uploading much, which is why I'm going to be pre-recording a bunch of videos and having them upload on a regular basis so that I will always have content out there for y'all. And without further ado, let's get into this what if. Izuku Midoriya, born July 15th, 2384, as the son of Inko Midoriya and Hisashi Midoriya. As Izuku was not born crying like other babies. He was born silent, eyes wide open, as they could see his black eyes and his black strands of hair with little green tips at the front of it. As the baby was then taken to be cleaned, Inko and Hisashi looked slightly worried, but kept it to themselves as they were too overjoyed of the fact that they are now parents. As while the doctor who was cleaning Izuku was surprised, Izuku showed no reaction to the water, but then he looked into Izuku's eyes, as he then saw a glimpse of a red scarlet spinning in the boy's eyes. As the doctor was about to say something, but just as it appeared, it vanished. As the doctor just put it off as he's seeing things, and that might have been the water that leaked into his eyes. As he was then brought back to his parents, Inko and Hisashi. As Hisashi took a look at his son, who looked remarkably similar as him, almost exactly the same. He looked as though he was truly his son, one who took the best of both sides, as he ended up getting Inko's face and he ended up getting Inko's face and green tips, but also got Hisashi's freckles and Hisashi's black hair and black eyes, as he then felt this newfound connection to his son that he never thought he would have. And he then picked up his son, put him in his arms, and hugged him tightly, as he then reevaluated his decision on going back to America, as he then told Inko that he will be staying with them and he's not going overseas. Inko being overjoyed by this, and Izuku unknowingly as well, as he again unknowingly, he then starts to cry as all their worries of him not being okay were suddenly taken away in the wind, as he then started to cry, as Inko Midoriya and Hisashi Midoriya, the three started to cry together of happiness, tears of joy, as they are now a family. Now we time skip 4 years. Izuku Midoriya has grown the kindness that he would have in canon, except now he has the lovingness of a father and a mother, so he earns his slight bit of confidence than he does in canon. He was then sitting at the table. Well, not at the table, but sitting in his living room with his father and mother watching the news as they see this clip of All Might playing, as they see this tragedy as All Might is saving so many individuals, as he then starts to idolize All Might even more, as the news then replays it along with an ad saying limited edition All Might figurine, only available through these set dates. As Izuku was ecstatic, he instantly asks his mom, he's like, Mom, Dad, can we get the All Might figurine? Can we get the All Might figurine? As he's bobbing up and down, as Hizashi also admiring All Might, as he then says, yes, my boy, we shall go and get this All Might figurine from the store right away. As Inko, just happy to see her son and husband getting along so well, and having that father-son bond, would just smile and say, yes, let's go. As she then says, wait, but we can also bring Katsuma and Mitsuki and Maru, because I'm pretty sure she would want it as well. As the second she says that, as if on cue, Mitsuki calls them up. As Inko opens the phone and says, I was just about to call you, Mitsuki. As Mitsuki replied, yes, we were wondering if you guys wanted to go to the store and get that new All Might figurine. Katsuma and Maru were already about to head there. As Inko saying, oh wow, what a coincidence, we were just about to call you about that. As she just says, yeah, we could also have Izuku and Katsuma meet up again. She seems to be taking a liking to Izuku. As Katsuma in the background says, no, I'm not, in a cute tone of voice. As Inko just laughs and just says, yes, we'll be on our way. As they hang up, and Inko would proceed to go up to Izuku and say, Katsuma and Mitsuki are coming with us. She's like, Kachan? Nah, I need to make a better name. Katsua? Kachan. What was that again? What would be the female version of Kachan? Katsu. Yeah, Katsu. That's be good. Katsu. As he then says, Katsu? She's like, yes. As they then go and pick up the Marus and... not the Marus, go and pick up the Bakugo family. As Izuku and Katsuma are sitting in the back seat together just talking about All Might, as Izuku and Katsuma just stayed talking, as the parents are talking as well, as they then reach the toy store, as Inko and Mitsuki decide to stay in the car and tell their husbands to go and get the All Might figurines and stuff, as they want to talk and go to other stores. As they do that, and while they're in the toy store, Izuku and Katsuma would then proceed to run around. They would instantly try to see who can find the All Might figurine first, to see who could buy it first, as they then start running around. Hizashi and Maru laugh as they then try to run after their kids, who are literally outspeeding them, but not by much, as they are right behind them. As once they find the All Might figurine, they start heading towards the exit, as they then are about to pay, as a group of men wearing masks walk in. As the men then say, "This is a robbery, put your hands up," as Izuku and Katsuma start getting worried and scared, as they then hide behind their fathers, as the fathers say, alright, it's fine, it's cool, it's fine. As Hizashi, being a, I'm gonna just say, Hisashi, being a pro hero, would then jump into action. That's the job that he got. He became a pro hero, almost making it into the ranks as being in the top 100. He then starts breathing fire as his suit then appears underneath his workwear, as he then pulls off his suit and just starts beating on the villains. As he then proceeds to beat on the villains, beat them up. He then wins as one more individual comes through the door. This individual being the villain whose muscle fibers go through their skin, the villain who's killed heroes, the villain Muscular. As Hisashi would instantly recognize who this is and would immediately try to back off to regain his ground, but just as he was about to, the man punches Hisashi clean in the gut, knocking the wind out of him. As he then punches Hisashi in the face, not breaking his jaw, but enough to leave a major bruise, as he's not using his quirk yet. As he then tries to, do his thing, as he then starts to muscle up. He then starts to regain all those muscle fibers he's muscling out around his arm, as he's then about to punch Hisashi, as Hisashi is not fully recovered yet, as Izuku yells, "No!" As Muscular turns around and sees a boy with the black hair, black eyes. As Muscular turns around, as he loves traumatizing kids apparently, and he's about to hit Izuku, but Izuku's eyes turn a red scarlet, as Izuku then dodges and tries to kick Muscular in the leg. Izuku unknowingly puts some of his, energy into his leg, his chakra, which had just been derived straight from his eyes and activated. As he kicks Muscular in the leg, Muscular actually felt pain from this, as his knees buckle and he falls to the ground a bit. As he then starts to get mad and is about to hit Izuku, this time with full strength, as Hisashi gets up in a blaze in his anger, as this man just tried to put his hands on his son, as he then starts to breathe fire, breathe, as Hisashi, hero named Ryu, lived up to the name of being one of the top flame heroes, well, up and coming flame heroes, as he then starts to breathe a bright blaze of fire, as the fire then starts letting off sparks of blue, as Hisashi then starts controlling the fire and condensing it, then shoots it clean at Muscular, engulfing the muscle fibers, burning them, scorching them, causing Muscular to lose balance and lose consciousness, as the heat created by encasing his body in all that muscle was too much for him to bear, as he was then unconscious. As Izuku then passed out, being the first time he awakened his Sharingan. But unlike the first time, this one actually had detail in it, but no Tomoe's. It was just red eyes, a red clean eye with a black pupil in the middle, that's it. As Izuku then passed out, Katsu, being very, very worried, Katsuma, runs up to Izuku and tries to hug him, but as she's going over there, her hands start to spark, as she then mistakenly blows behind her and kinda falls face first, as she then too becomes unconscious. As they are both taken to the hospital, Inko and Mitsuki are very, very worried for their kids as the doctor walks out and asks for the parents. As Inko and Mitsuki go, as Ryu and Maru had to stay behind and make sure the villains didn't go free. As the doctor then says, well, the good news is they're not hurt, but actually no, there is no bad news. The good news is that they're both fine. They just activated their quirks and are extremely tired because of it. As Inko and Mitsuki both ask, what's their quirk? As the doctor says, a specialist is coming right now to go and see that for herself, but just wait here for about an hour and he'll be with you. As they do. As the doctor then proceeds to put his hand on Izuku's head and puts his hand on Katsuma's head, as his quirk has the ability to read quirks. As long as he's... What the fuck was that? As long as he is in physical contact with them. As he then sees Izuku's quirk, not its evolution, but it's his quirk. As a randomly generated name pops up above it as he's able to see it. As it says Sharingan and Chakra. And half partial flame breath. As Izuku will not have the Chidori. He will not have any of the other moves that will essentially be too broken. He essentially, let me explain Izuku's abilities. His abilities are basically anything that an Uchiha can do, except he can only perform fire style based jutsus. He cannot perform lightning based jutsus. As that's basically it. Anything an Uchiha can do, except you just can't perform any other jutsu besides fire-based jutsu. As I'm limiting him. Yes. And with his chakra, he can only increase the output of his fire and enhance his body. That's about it. As he does have a boundful amount of chakra, as he's the first person to have chakra on this planet. So he has bounds, leaps and bounds more than Sasuke, Itachi, or even Madara could have had. It's just that he can't do much with it besides enhance his body and stuff like that. So yeah. As the doctor then starts reading off the stats of Izuku's quirk, as it says, oh, he has an ocular and enhancement based quirk. As they're just like, what? It's like, yes, apparently his eyes have something called the sharingan, and their abilities are the ability to copy anybody's movements down to the T. Copy almost anything. And he cannot copy quirks, but he can copy the movements. As he then says, oh, and he also has a partial fire and enhancement side of his quirk that allows him to enhance his body with a certain energy and also breathe a bit of fire with said energy. As he then says, so he has a better version of my husband's quirk, as Inko thinks. As Izuku then starts hopping up and down and starts saying, wait, but what about Katsuma? As they then explain that her quirk is called Explosion. It's literally called Explosion. So yeah. Now, Izuku is very happy, as Katsuma is too, as they both have very powerful quirks. Now, we're going to time skip 14 years. JK. We're going to time skip 11 years. As Katsuma and Izuku have been very close these past 11 years. They've grown closer than in canon, even. As basically everybody thinks they're dating at this point, but they're not. Now, as Izuku walks into school with Katsuma, as they get in at the same time almost every day because they wait for each other, as Izuku then starts, nah, never mind. As they then just go into class, and unlike in canon, Katsuma doesn't do what Canon Bakugo does. He does not, she does not instantly go all AWOL and say everybody, no, that you're just gonna be a bunch of A rank D-listers. No. So yeah, as the as the teacher walks in and says his usual line, I know you all want, let's talk about your careers, your future. As he then pulls out a stack of papers, and then he says, is what I would say if I didn't already know you all want to be heroes. So we're going to be doing this instead. We're going to be choosing schools. So he brings out a different sheet of paper and starts passing it around. As Izuku, being remarkably smart, because of the Sharingan, he's able to copy almost anything. He's literally able to remember almost anything. He has perfect photographic memory. His grades are basically perfect, down to the T. And because of that, Katsuma's grades are almost perfect as well, because he helps her a lot with that. So yeah. As he then says, oh, alright, everybody, once you're done with that, pass them back up here. And then, yeah, once that's done, he starts reading it back. He starts saying, oh, we have 2 candidates for UA. As the class starts thinking it's probably Katsuma and Izuku. As Izuku, he's been training remarkably. He has a quirk this time. And Katsuma's been training as well, as her and Izuku have been training since they were 4 when they unlocked their quirks, as they made a promise that, not really a promise, but they wanted to become as strong as Izuku's father, who was able to condense blue fire and take down the villain Muscular. As yeah. Also, if you're asking, this Muscular was remarkably weaker than the one in canon. Like seriously, like this Muscular, he did not have. Basically, this is like way before Muscular was like 100% full-on psychotic, but still psychotic. So like this Muscular was a lot weaker than the one Izuku fought in canon. So that's, if you're wondering, that's how we beat him. Also, this also made that incident also made Hisashi go up the boards, as he is now the number 3 hero and Hawks is not there yet, so he's not a, well, actually never mind, I think he's like the number 4, I'm pretty sure, number 5 around this time, I think, I'm not sure, but if so, anyway, back into this. Now, Izuku would have wasted no time, and he would have just raised his hand, and so would Katsuma, as the teacher then exclaims on how they're going to be in UA, as he then says, wow, that's expected, as both your grades are basically perfect, as yes, your grades are basically perfect, and you guys definitely have the firepower to get into UA. As both Katsuma and Izuku smile at each other, and then they just start heading home. Not heading home, but they go throughout the day. As when Izuku was on his way home, he told Katsuma that he was gonna head to the store first and then go home. As Katsuma then says, alright, as she then starts walking home. Well, walking to the arcade to hang there for a little bit, then go home. as Izuku then walks through the same shortcut he did last time, and this time the Sludge villain shows up. Well, not this time, but the Sludge villain shows up. Izuku, feeling the rumble from the ground, would instinctively activate his sharingan. His sharingan has 2 Tomoe in it, in both eyes, as he's been training. As the Sludge villain then starts saying, "Ah, kid. I didn't know that freak was in town. Give me your body." As Izuku then gets startled by this, he's like, "What? Huh? What is this? Is this Sludge really talking to me right now?" As the Sludge villain then proceeds to try and grab onto Izuku by grappling towards him with a tendril made of slime. As Izuku then dodges and instantly starts trying to blitz around it, trying to get around it, maybe at least get away. But he then starts seeing pathways in front of him, all the different movements that he could make to avoid the situation. He starts seeing ways that he could get through this, ways that show where his weaknesses are, as he then starts aiming for those weaknesses. But Izuku, still not being proficient in using his Sharingan like this, would make a fatal error, as he would then slip. He would slip over a piece of the Sludge villain that broke off as he was fighting it. And he would then fall as the Sludge villain catches him and starts trying to suffocate him. As Izuku would then start trying to channel fire, but it's no use. He can't get oxygen in, as someone then appears from the ground along with someone who's coming in with fire, as the hero Ryu and All Might show up, as Ryu says, "Son!" as All Might then punches the villain, knocking it clean out, as Izuku was then unconscious. But Hisashi instantly ran towards his son and started telling him, come on, wake up, as he then starts seeing if Izuku's still alive, and he is. He's just unconscious, as he then regains consciousness, as All Might's also there, and he's like, wait, that's the number 3 hero's kid? As he then starts thinking to himself, he's like, might be a worthy successor. But I'm not giving him one for all, so don't even think about it. Don't even think about spamming that in the comments either. I'm not giving him one for all. So yeah, as Izuku would then wake up and he sees his father and All Might, he then yells, "Oh, what happened?" He's like, "Dad? All Might?" As All Might is like, "Yes, young hero." Well, not young hero, but young Midoriya, as he does know Hisashi's name. I mean, like, no shit, he knows Enji's. So yeah, as Izuku then hugs his dad and says thanks, as he was scared, because he was gonna die. Like, who wouldn't be scared that they were gonna die? Like, what? As Izuku then just gets up, as he just says, "Thanks, Dad. Thanks, All Might." As All Might picks up the villain and puts it in a bottle, and with Ryu's help, they jump away. Ryu going off on his way and telling Izuku to go straight home after he gets his stuff for Inko, as All Might jumps away. Now, for plot reasons, as All Might was reaching his limits, he buffed out a slight bit midair and he dropped the bottle. All Might not noticing this until he got towards a building and he landed and he realized he dropped the bottle, as he then starts hearing explosions coming from a distance, as Izuku hears this as well, as he just got done getting all the stuff for his mom, as he then sees Katsuma. He walks out and he sees Katsuma stuck in the grasp of the Sludge villain that just tried to kill him and almost did. As Katsuma's setting off explosions and yelling for help, but nobody seems to be trying to help her, as she is in desperation right now. As Izuku sees this, he gets angry. And by angry, I mean angry. He instinctively puts on his sharingan as he then starts channeling his chakra to his feet. As he has done this, he's learned to do this. He also knows how to walk on water and how to run across multiple surfaces. As he then starts running on the wall, as he then goes over the crowd and starts blitzing towards the sludge villain, as he then instinctively body flickers behind it. Yes, he does know the body flicker. Body flickers requires chakra, so yeah, he's just doing that now. As he then starts channeling fire in his mouth, as he then starts releasing an inferno that covers the entire field, as it's taller than the sludge villain, as he then releases that, going straight towards it, except right before it was about to burn Izumi, he instantly body flickers to her and body flickers out of there. As he's now carrying a semi-conscious Katsumi, who is basically just in awe, as she was witnessing everything up until the fireball, which she thought she was gonna die, but she's now she blacked out for a split second and woke up in Izuku's arms, as Izuku's just walking back towards the heroes with a pissed off expression on his face. As the heroes then decide that they have the balls, and I mean the balls, to try and pull up to him, as they then were about to, Paoloader and the rest of them were about to scold Izuku, but Izuku just quickly shut them up and said, I know damn well y'all not talking to me about using my quirk illegally when y'all didn't do shit. I stopped the villain and saved my friend. What did y'all do? What did you do? As the hero Ryu then lands down and asks what happened, as one of the civilians show him the video of how Izuku made a fucking fireball that straight up incinerated the slime villain. As Ryu, Hisashi is proud. Like, he's like, that's my boy. He has a tear in his eye. He's like, that's my boy. As the heroes were still trying to say shit, as Izuku's like, I am, bro, I'm this close, and I mean this close, to pimp smacking each and every single one of you. None of you had done shit. I had to step in to save my best friend who was about to die because you guys couldn't think outside the box. He then points at Kamiwa Woods and asks, why didn't you just grow your branches through him and have him locked inside of it? Why didn't you just put a cage around him? One that would make it so that he cannot move, as if he does, the person inside of it would have to be pushed out if he wants to get out of it. Why didn't you do that? Looks at Paoloader and asks, why didn't you try quaking the ground, punching it, making him unstable enough so that you can pull the girl out? Izuku bringing up valid points on what every hero could have done in that situation, as the hero Ryu and All Might, he wants to make him a successor. He already thought of that, but when he saw that fireball, he sealed the deal. As Ryu then walks up and asks, so you're telling me you guys tried to scold my son for doing your job and doing it better than you could have? As the heroes look down in shame, as they just got told by a kid, and they ended up realizing that this kid is the number 3 hero's son. So yeah, as Izuku then looks at his dad, he's like, oh hey dad, with a hand behind his neck, like as yeah, he still has Izumi in his arms. He's just carrying her with one arm at this point. As Izumi then fully wakes up and starts blushing at the fact that Izuku has her in his arms. So she instinctively jolts up and starts punching his chest like, baka, baka, baka. As Izuku, he's just chuckling at this, as he then hugs Izumi and says, you know that I am never letting you out of my sight again. I hope you know that, right? As Katsumi, I don't know why I keep saying Izumi, but Katsumi blushes at this and she's like, really? As Izuku says, yes, I am not letting you go home by yourself ever again. As Ryu's just like, Katsumi, Izuku, hop on my back. As they do, as Ryu just starts breathing, as the hero Ryu just starts breathing fire and just bounces and leaps off and starts breathing fire and controlling it, as he then starts using it as a jet propulsion to just boost himself into the air, as he then just flies them home. As Inko, who saw this entire encounter on the news, and Mitsuki as well, Mitsuki, who's also at Inko's house, is pissed because the heroes were about to do shit. As Inko's also kind of proud, but a bit frightened, but extremely proud. As when they land at Izuku's house, as Katsumi is also with them as well, he then just says, Hizashi then pats Izuku on his head, ruffling up his hair, and says, "That's my boy, releasing that fireball. I see you." As he's given that yes sir, like, you got my approval on that. As All Might did not have a chance to talk to Izuku or Katsumi, as Katsuma. I think it's Katsuma or Katsumi, either one. I forgot my own lyrics for a sec, but anyway, as they step in, Inko instinctively goes and hugs Izuku and Katsumi, Mitsuki at the same time as well, as Maru just got there, as he just saw everything that happened on the news, as he instantly left work early and came over there, as Maru then thanks Izuku for saving Katsumi, as Mitsuki does the same thing, as Inko is just proud that her son already acting like a hero before even being in the hero course. As now before they go home, Mitsuki and the rest of the Bakugo family, Katsumi says that she has to talk to Izuku about something. As Izuku, having a little bit more confidence and not being 100% dense, would ask Katsumi before she could even speak and say, "Katsumi, how do you feel about me?" As Katsumi blushes at this and says, I don't know what you're talking about. As Izuku says, in what way? As not Izuku, Katsumi says, in what way? As she's stuttering. As Izuku's like, I guess that might have answered my question, but I want you to answer it yourself. As she then says, alright, let's make a deal. As not make a deal. As Katsumi then says, wait, but I have a question for you as well. How do you feel about me? As Izuku then says, well, I asked first. And then she says, well, I asked second. As Izuku then says, As Katsumi then gets a bright idea. She says, whoever gets first on the entrance exam has to tell the other how they feel. As Izuku says, I could abide by that. Yeah, I could abide by that. As they shake on it and hug, as she then says, thank you for saving me, by the way. And Izuku says, yeah, sure. And then Katsumi says, but that still doesn't mean I'm gonna let you surpass me, Izuku. As Izuku then says, I wouldn't have it any other way. As they go. So now I'm gonna leave this off here. Nah, never mind. I'm gonna leave this off here. I'm gonna be uploading the next part literally tomorrow. So yeah.